This video is a continuation of a previous video talking about 5 of the 10 negative financial behaviors that I've discovered while working in the finance industry as a CPA and financial coach, and how you can overcome them. Keep in mind, the goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. So although ideally you can tackle all of these behaviors and fix them, even if you take on some of them, then that's progress that you wouldn't have. So for now, the goal is not perfection, the goal is progress. And some progress is better than no progress. So if you feel like you might not be ready to take on all of them, do the ones that you feel might be the easiest to start with. And then once those are in a better place, then you can look to try to take on more of them. The first behavior from this video is spending money on things that you don't need. A lot of people spend way too much money on things that they can do for much cheaper or don't even have to do at all. Although you might not realize the damage being done because it might just seem as a small expense over here or a little bit extra over there. When you sum it all up, these unnecessary expenses start to really balloon. This is a money habit that will drain your bank account faster than almost anything else. Now, this usually can look like having too many streaming subscriptions that you don't even watch, paying for an expensive gym membership because it has amenities that you hardly use, or paying for a class pass when you only go once every 3 months. It can also look like eating out all the time, even though you're perfectly able to meal prep. Specifically for that last one, a lot of folks fall into the trap of thinking that by looking for deals, they're being financially savvy and frugal. But the key thing to remember is, even if you're saving some money on that purchase, is that purchase something that you truly need? And be honest with yourself. Because if it's not, then you're just spending money that you shouldn't be spending. So to put it into context, if you spend just $300 a month on unnecessary expenses, although it might not seem like a lot on a month-to-month basis, over the span of a year, that's $3,600 that you could have invested at an 8% return. Over 20 years, that would add up to over $170,000 approximately. So that's a lot of money that you're giving up. So if this is something that you reflect on and feel like you could do better on, what I would recommend is, first of all, it takes some introspection and being honest with yourself. Are there things that you're paying extra for that you're not really using or don't really need? You are going to have to really question your current spending habits and think about if there's cheaper or free alternatives, like trimming down on your subscriptions. Perhaps you don't need 5 streaming services. Maybe you only watch 2, or perhaps finding a cheaper gym that has the majority of what you need, even if it doesn't have a sauna or a steam room. How often are you really using that sauna? Maybe cooking at home as opposed to going out to eat every day or going out to fancy restaurants every weekend. You can also incorporate new affordable activities or hobbies that you weren't doing before, such as hiking, reading, or even better, learning new skills online. As long as you try to look for free resources and don't go down the rabbit hole of spending money on learning subscriptions. And believe me, your future self will thank you. The next negative behavior that I see a lot is only focusing on saving money. Although that's a fantastic thing to do, and I commend any and all people that are very conscious of their spending and are constantly trying to maximize their savings, you have to keep in mind that's only half of the equation. And there's a cap as to how much you can save. So to really take your finances to the next level, you can't neglect the other half of the equation, which is really where the power lies. See, unlike with saving, there's no cap with how much you can earn. To truly improve your financial position, you need to focus on both sides of the equation. You can't neglect one or the other. Saving more of your existing income and creating more income streams is the key to financial growth. You can't build wealth if you're making more money but spending it all. But you also can't build wealth if you're only focused on saving, because there is a limit to how much you can cut. Now, a lot of folks fall into the trap of thinking that they can't make additional income, or that making additional income is extremely difficult. So they completely neglect it or don't even think about it. I would challenge you to think that, again, as is the theme with everything we're talking about, you don't have to necessarily think huge. You can start small. So I would recommend thinking about what are some small things that you could do on your spare time that are going to generate even just a little bit of money, right? Everybody wants to create the next big thing and a side hustle that is going to make more money than their regular job. The reality is the odds of that happening, although not impossible, are very remote. Not to say that you can't do it, but again, the goal here is for progress, not perfection. If waiting around for that perfect idea or plan is holding you back from taking any action, then we want to go down the path that is going to incentivize progress and not the path that's going to incentivize being stuck. So think about things as simple as helping out around your community and maybe charging a nominal fee for it, maybe taking on an additional shift, taking on some overtime, babysitting, pet sitting, even potentially some odd jobs in the beginning. The key takeaway here is if you're able to start a side hustle and make $500 to $1,000 a month, that could be between $5,000, $6,000 to $12,000 over a year. And that makes a huge difference in the medium to long term. Whether it's trying to find a side hustle or a side gig, or trying to go for a pay raise, or even just taking on more shifts or more overtime, if you're able to get a 10%, even a 10% bump on a $60,000 salary through overtime or getting a promotion or getting a raise, that's $6,000 per year that now you can use to improve your rate of growth that much quicker. So the making money side has unlimited potential. Whether it's investing in the stock market, starting a new business, learning high income skills, or trying to get a raise or a new job. The more you earn, combined with good money management skills, your financial landscape will completely transform. If you're in this mental box where you're hyper-focused on saving, pat yourself on the back. I truly commend you. But don't fall into the trap of thinking that extreme frugality is the path to wealth. Yes, save more where you can, but spend equal or more energy on increasing your income. That's where true wealth is built. Another negative financial behavior is leaving money on the table with taxes. Taxes will be the single biggest expense of your life. And most people are paying way more than they need to. Everyone has to pay taxes, but wealthy people understand the legal structures and strategies that minimize their tax bills. They hire tax advisors, use tax-advantaged accounts, and operate businesses that come with deductions. If you want to get ahead, you need to understand tax rules and work in your favor. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to go out and hire a tax advisor or an accountant, but you should have a fundamental understanding of how taxes work so you can take as much advantage as possible within what is available to you. Some examples are taking advantage of employer-sponsored retirement accounts, such as 401ks or 403bs or 57 plans, depending on what type of employee you are. Also, things like investing through a Roth IRA. And if you're self-employed, operating under a business structure that can give you deductions for home office, space, equipment, and more. Over a lifetime, understanding and legally minimizing your taxes could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. So what I recommend here is educate yourself on tax advantage accounts and strategies. If you're an employee, ask what retirement account benefits they provide for you, including knowing how much their match is. And if you're able to, consider hiring a tax professional, especially if you're self-employed or have investments. The money that you save can be reinvested to grow your wealth that much faster. Another behavior is letting your money sit idly or not investing. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting too long to start investing, and over their lifetime, it costs them millions of dollars. Once you have your emergency fund built up, you need to start investing that money so it works for you. You want to diversify your investments so you can weather different situations in life. The biggest mistake is leaving extra money sitting in a bank account because inflation means you're losing money every year. Unfortunately, most people don't invest because it sounds intimidating, time-consuming, and worst of all, risky. And that causes them to think that investing is only for a select few. But the truth is, investing is actually pretty straightforward and can be very simple. There's really no reason that everyone that has their basic needs met shouldn't be considering investing. So as an example, let's say you have $10,000 sitting in a regular savings account earning just 0.5% interest. Over 30 years with 3% inflation, your purchasing power has been cut in half. But if you invest the same $10,000 in an S&P 500 index fund that's averaging about 8% returns, it grows to over $100,000 in 30 years. The key thing here is to know that the longer you wait, the more you lose to inflation and miss compound growth. So now that you know that, assuming you have your emergency fund and some stability, the next immediate thing you should be thinking about is, how do I invest? And again, it doesn't have to be complex. You can look at things like index funds or even a high yield savings account that earns significant more interest than a regular savings account could be considered investing. And all you have to do is put the money in and let it grow on autopilot. The takeaway here is there's always going to be reasons why you think you can't invest, whether not enough time, not enough money, or you just don't know where to start. But the longer that you wait, the harder you'll have to work to catch up. So again, remember, start small, start simple, but start now. The next negative financial behavior ties into the one we just talked about regarding investing. And this one is ignoring the greatest wealth building tool, which is compounding. So as I just said in the previous behavior around investing, the reason why investing is so important is because it takes advantage of the law of compounding. It's absolutely critical that you understand the power of leveraging compounding, whether that's compounding interest or compounding gains from your investments. Compounding is when your money earns returns, and then those returns earn more returns. So the gains you make, whether again it's a value increase in an investment or interest that you earned by putting your money into a high yield savings account, for example, that additional money that you made now stacks on top of the original amount that you put in, and that new total is earning money for you. And the process is continually repeating. Essentially, as the word says, they compound on top of each other, and it just becomes this massive snowball that is just earning more and more and more money for you. And this snowball, the sooner you start, the faster it'll grow. Here, time is of the essence. The sooner you start, the bigger that snowball can grow over time. To give you a numerical example, if you invest $500 a month starting at age 25 with 8% returns, by age 65, you'll have over $1.5 million. But if you wait until age 35 to start, then you only have about $750,000. That 10-year delay costs you nearly $1 million. Time is your biggest asset when it comes to building wealth. The recommendation here is don't underestimate the power of starting early and staying consistent. Even small amounts invested regularly will grow into life-changing wealth over time thanks to the law of compounding. And finally, the last negative behavior that I see all too often with the clients that I work with that's holding them financially stuck is constantly comparing themselves to others and trying to keep up. This is absolutely one of the most dangerous money habits, which is always trying to match their lifestyle with the people that they see around them, or even worse, now with social media, the people that they see or follow online. See, social media has made this worse than ever. You see your friends posting about their new car, their vacation to Bali, their designer handbag, and not to mention the influencers you see online doing that tenfold, and you feel like you can't stay behind. So you start buying things you don't need with money you don't have to impress people that you don't even know. And this is called keeping up with the Jonases. And it's a fast track to staying broke forever. What you don't see is that many of these people are drowning in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and stressed about money behind the scenes. You don't want to fall victim to this, nor do you want to jump off the metaphorical cliff, taking on debt and having zero savings and not investing anything that perhaps a lot of the people that you're looking up to are going through just to try to keep up with them. All because on the outside, it looks like they have everything under control and they're living this glamorous lifestyle. So as an example, let's say you buy a $40,000 car to keep up with your coworker when a $20,000 car would have worked perfectly fine. That $20,000 that you spent could have been invested. At about 8% returns over 30 years, that's about $200,000 that you gave up just to impress somebody. Or maybe you spend $3,000 on a vacation you can't afford because everyone else is traveling. That money could have been your egg to start your investment portfolio. And the cost of comparison isn't just the money you spend, it's the wealth you never build. So my key takeaway that I give to you is stop comparing your situation to somebody else's. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know what their situation is. Everybody's going through something different. And maybe your chapter 1 is somebody else's chapter 5 and vice versa. You should only focus on your own financial goals and run your own race. Unfollow accounts that make you feel inadequate or trigger spending. And just remember that even if somebody else has this glamorous, flashy lifestyle, by following the things that I'm recommending, you will eventually have a much more stable and stress-free life than a lot of people that have an outwardly glamorous and flashy lifestyle, but inwardly financially unstable and stressful life. Remember, real wealth is built in private. It's not always displayed on social media, so don't assume what you see on social media is the reality. The person driving a modest car and living below their means could be a millionaire living the best possible life, but you just might not see it. And the person that has that flashy lifestyle might be the one that's just one emergency away from bankruptcy. Finally, to sum this all up, I leave you with the thought that breaking these money habits won't happen overnight, but recognizing them is the start. Start with 1 or 2 habits that resonate with you and commit to changing them this month. Remember, wealthy people aren't smarter than you. They just have better money habits. You have everything you need to build wealth. It's just a matter of consistent action and some time, and you will see the results. If you found this video helpful, make sure to check out my previous video where I talk about the other 5 negative financial behaviors holding you back, so that you'll really be in a good place if you start to tackle as much of these as you can. And I'll see you over there on that video. Thanks.